behold, a cold open. Joe, we just took a 2-week sicko break for a very special reason. You became a wife guy, thereby completing the dyad.
In some cultures, it's called a husband, but I got married. The actual ceremony, like the day of the wedding, everything went so smoothly. We were very fortunate.
Yeah.
You were there, of course. Everything looked great. The venue kicked ass.
It did. So one thing that me and my wife do, we love doing this, is we will remember previous weddings that we had been to, and we will discuss all the ways that our wedding was better than the wedding we were at. And usually this is very easy because a lot of weddings make truly boneheaded mistakes that we did not do, and we laugh. We had a real tough. We had to dig real deep to do that for your wedding. It was fantastic. We still did it. It's just that they were sort of like they're very stupid nitpicks, and there were ways that your wedding exceeded ours. So it was kind of a wash in the end.
The one thing that Winnie and I chugged personally is like if you don't order a big cake, the caterer gives you a small cake to do like the cutting, like the act of cutting. So it could be a picture that's taken, and you can feed each other the cake. Winnie and I didn't know that any of that shit. Like we were like, what is this baby cake, and why is everyone looking at us? So we like awkwardly cut it and then just like sat down. And we ruined that moment, which is great.
Okay,
fun.
That's also good to hear because for me it gives me more fodder for when me and my wife decide to talk about how our wedding was better than yours. We didn't do that cake cutting shit. They were just like, "Do you want to cut the cake?" And we're like, "No, fuck, no, what? No, that's stupid," and we just didn't do it.
And I didn't know this was a thing. To me, this is pervert behavior. But they asked me like, "Do you want to preserve the cake for like a year or whatever and eat it later?"
Oh, that's so fucked.
And when I was asked that, I think I started making like gagging noises. Like I was very like confused by it. Like who cares? It's also it's not like a big special cake. It's like this thing they just threw on because again we didn't go out of the way to get a bakery cake because.
In 1 year, would you like to eat some biohazard food and catch the T virus? Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's a time capsule you can eat. Then we went on a honeymoon. We went to St. Lucia.
I just want to say before we get into that, me personally, because I know that from having a wedding and from seeing you, rather how little I saw you on the day, that when you're actually getting married, you're being pulled in 1,000 directions. You're really busy all day long.
I'm a prop. Like everyone's just a prop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will say though that was the first time that I had been among multiple homies for like more than a little bit in a really, really long time. And just like the balm, like the psychic fulfillment of that was so incredible. Like I couldn't believe how good it felt, and I'm really grateful that you gave me that opportunity. I'm further grateful that I didn't get, and it seems like very few people got the fucking virus. I was getting on my suit and I'm just like telling myself like I'm gonna get the virus, like I'm gonna get the virus, and I am willing to do that for my friend Joe because I'm gonna get it, and thank God I didn't somehow.
I believe we only had one person who ended up getting it, and I think it's based on what happened and talking to the people around them at that table, they probably got it at work because they themselves worked in medicine. So we're free of sin completely.
Perfect.
That's how I felt about getting on a plane. It's just like, all right, well, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah. You went to St. Lucia for your honeymoon. That seems fun.
It was fun. It was it's a smallish island in the Caribbean. It's beautiful. The food was good. We stayed at a resort that was like on a cliff, so like the most stairs I've ever like had regular use of. Just like it was just tons and tons of stairs. The guy who managed it was like, yeah, when I started working here, I lost 20 pounds the first week.
So you told me that this resort offered an activity that was just the most nakedly evil
Yeah,
attraction that anyone could ever have.
so I guess these excursions are not unique to the resort. I guess like there are excursions available to anyone, but one of the excursions was to it was to do an ATV tour through a working plantation.
Plantation.
And it's just an evil sentence. It's so funny because I was talking to my buddy Mark at the wedding, who also went to St. Lucia, and he was like, I love the ATV tour.
Joe,
I had a great time.
if you were to say an ATV tour through an active farm that only farms a single crop, it would be like, that seems neutral. But if you were to say, what is, if we're looking at it rationally, total synonym of an ATV ride through an active plantation, you get all the...
Yeah. Plantation as a term rightfully has baggage. I think the issue is the unspoken rule is like you don't get to talk about how much fun you're having on a plantation, and this broke the rules by giving you the ATV, which is hands down the most fun vehicle, second only to maybe the dune buggy.
Yeah. You also told me something about something called like Greg's Hole or something. What was that?
Oh,
Paul's Hole?
It was Paul's Hole.
Paul's Hole.
One of the cool things that we did is we did a volcanic tour. The whole island is basically, I forget the term, but it's not a peak, but it's like a crater that is volcanic. It's like the
caldera.
The volcano is, yes, which means cauldron. Yes, that's it. It's a caldera. So as we were getting all the geological information and things were pointing out to us, the area we can't go into is, like the actual volcanic part. And you can see the bubbling springs and sulfur and stuff. And the tour woman was like, all of these holes you see that have the bubbling spring water are all natural, with the exception of this one, which is called Paul's Hole. And then she went on to explain that what happened is the tour, like 30 years ago, used to go through this area. And there was this tour guide named Paul who wanted to show everyone how sturdy the ground was. So he started jumping up and down, and he immediately sunk through the ground into his waist and got second-degree burns everywhere, like waist and below. And then he became a fisherman afterwards because he was like, I hate this job.
I fucked up my dick in my butthole. I'm all ruined.
Yeah, and then like to this day, people are like, "That's where that." Like he literally was like, "See how sturdy it is," doing the cartoonish jump up and down. And yeah, sorry, Paul, but you did leave your mark.
Yeah.
Every tour group from like the time that happened until when the sun blinks out is going to get told of your exploits.
Balls. Oh, Lord. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime Sickos. It is the podcast for geniuses, and the only podcast, where we look at the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
We have two patrons to get to. Our first patron is a $1 patron, which usually does not get you a shout-out on the show. If you look at the tiers, there's only two. But the only reason there's a $5 tier is because that's when we say your name. Well, someone has found an incredible loophole, which is when you have a very, very funny display name, we'll say it at any price point. So if you can think of a funny display name, you can really get a great savings. Because this patron is called I Listened to Anime Sickos and all I got was a headmate named Nokia Gunfight.
That's pretty good.
That's good shit. Nokia Gunfight, one of Quinn Welsh Wilson's top NPC names. I'll say it, one of the top NPC names of any RPG adventure that you can find.
It's good. Thank you, $1 person who also flattered us.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the thing. That's what we do podcasting for, to get fucking praised. That's what all art is about. Our next patron, it's going to be Hippolyta. I know that this person is Latin America, so they would pronounce it Hipólita, I believe. Hipólita. I took Spanish. I should know how to pronounce these fucking vowels. And yet, dude. Anyway, Hippolyta is the anglicized version, so we're going to stick to that. Thank you, Hippolyta, for your patronage and support.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. All right, now we're going to get to the show, the real show. We've been off for a while because of Joe's break, so we're out of practice, so we got to, do something that we're real familiar with to get back in the groove, and that's going to be whining.
Complaining. Oh, whining, yes. Complaining or whining, yes.
Oh, boy, there's a lot to fucking whine about. Joe, you would not believe all the shit that happened while we were not recording episodes. The world's so bad. So here's what I'm going to start off with. And this is something that's been happening forever. And by forever, I mean like since 2020, which was the start of linear time. It used to be 2016, but then those 4 years stopped happening. So now 2020 is where time begins. So for all of human history, 2 years, this has been happening. People will post shit like, I don't think people are ready for how bad things are gonna get.
There's 80 versions of this post a day. It's funnier when it comes from like a scientist or whatever. Who cares? It's like, no, you're right. I don't know how bad it's going to get.
Yeah, like
I don't know anything. The issue is I'm a huge idiot, man. I'm a huge dumb baby that has no influence over the world around me to make any meaningful change. So you telling me, you might as well just be telling me, you're going to die, right? Like, just say that. Just say that.
Like, yeah, dude, I'm not ready. How could I be ready? Like, what would that look like, me being ready for how bad it's going to get? It's basically, it's like, Joe, my entire life, I have had, as soon as I wake up, I see in front of me a screaming skull wreathed in hellish flame, 1 inch from my face. Its scream is the loudest sound I've ever heard. It stays right in front of my face until I go to sleep. When it screams really loud and opens its mouth very wide, the barrel of a Glock comes out of it and touches my forehead, burning my flesh due to the heat of the metal. And this motherfucker goes on Twitter and says, I don't think Tom is scared enough of the skull. It's like, yeah, I am, dude. I'm very scared.
The one fun aspect, and I put fun in big quotes, I guess, is when you see posts like this, you're like, oh, is this the climate version or the virus version?
or the fascism version.
Or the fascism version, of course, which is, yeah. It could be any of those. And the fact that, like, you have to read the second tweet to figure out what their actual hang-up is, just proves that everything is quite bad.
There's some blue check called Climate Human, who is the most hilarious version of this, because he is ostensibly an ally of ours, in that he, like us, would advocate for a exit from capitalism, a swift decarbonization, de-investment from cars and car infrastructure, de-investment from fossil fuels. In many ways, we are aligned. However, Climate Human is, to me personally, solely an antagonist. The only thing Climate Human does is Tom's not afraid enough of the skull. That it's every time I see this motherfucker on my timeline, he's like, I wish everyone knew how off the charts every planetary trend was right now. It's like, buddy, I do know.
I see so many pictures of how the Colorado River is pretty much done every day.
Just gone. Just not around no more.
Yeah, sometimes it's accompanied with a helpful map that shows like what population centers are served by that water, and you're like, how many million? Oh boy.
I've seen all the side-by-side diptychs of the times when the fucking news in some European country did a fake forecast of what it might be like in 2050, why are the European news channels doing that so much? Are they just doing little future skits all the time? Anyway, that's the one picture. And then the picture on the right is the actual forecast for today. And it's hotter than the 2050 one they did as a scary joke for the future. Wow, isn't that exciting? Like, yeah, I know, buddy. I've seen it. I remember there was a great news story we both saw that was like, wow, World War II find. A very well-preserved World War II warship was just unearthed in a river in Italy that dried up completely so that it was very visible. What a find! And it's like, oh... Rivers is supposed to stay there, right?
Just think of all the fun things we'll unearth in rivers that dry up now. That's what we have to look forward to.
Yeah. It's just so bad. I just don't like it. You know what's another blackpilling thing that ostensibly we should be aligned
Everything
with?
is.
Well,
Everything
yes.
is blackpilling. Looking outside is.
The second thing that we ostensibly should be aligned with is this, Joe. The January 6th hearings. And I've seen a lot of people say, and from what I've seen, I kind of agree with them, that like it's astonishing how like competent a lot of the case making and testimony is, that like the Democrats actually did like get witnesses who are building like a very strong case and like putting forth evidence that makes it very, very clear that there was like a violent conspiracy that was known by many top ranking officials in the government.
But what's funny about that, though, is that right at the start of this, they were like, yeah, we're not going to charge anyone. So effectively, what they have done is just show how scary some guys are, and then be like, anyway, see you later.
They are pointing to the big boss. They're saying that big boss, you would not believe how strong his special moves are. You would not believe how fast his cooldowns and recovery frames are. He's gonna be throwing out moves constantly. And by the way, this right here, this big glowing diamond in his chest, that's the weak point. Like, so you see it? If you hit it, it's going to do so much damage to him. If you don't go for that fucking diamond, you'll never beat this boss. But actually, if you hit him in the weak point, it actually does stun damage. You can actually stun lock him out of all those scary moves you were just talking about. Anyway, don't fucking attack the diamond. We're not gonna. Don't ask us to.
It's very, the main like takeaway I'm getting as someone who is just reading about it but not watching it is that everyone is very eagerly giving Liz Cheney bipartisan kudos for
Yes.
whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The January 6 hearings are a very long and involved process to prove that Liz Cheney is brave. Great. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I'm ugh. And it also undermines its own authority if there is no charges, because, like, you are making the argument that if this was so bad, and it was, there should be, like, something that happens as a result. So, when nothing happens, the only reasonable conclusion you can draw is that, oh, I guess it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. It's basically, well, what it's saying is that, like, now coups are the only thing.
The meta changed.
Coups work. You're allowed to do them. If you are a political party and your campaign is like, I will put out ads and try to get more votes than the other guy, you're a fucking more. What you should be doing is usually both sides should be planning coups and do a battle. Like, that's how it's gonna be. It makes me very mad.
You also need to be constantly asserting that the election is fraudulent unless I win.
Yes.
Both sides should be doing that.
You know what also sucks is that, like, as a fan of comedy, there's a lot to be sad about the state of comedy. But, like, one of the funniest things that could happen, one of the best gags that I think I can imagine, is Donald Trump fucking dying in prison. Because do you remember fucking Rod Blagojevich, the awful governor of Illinois, who he went to prison for crime, which, hilarious, how quaint. And he had famously the dumbest fucking hair. He had like a Lego man's plastic snap-on cap of hair.
It came off in one piece.
Yes. When he came out of prison, he did not have his jet black hair dye, and his stupid cap of hair was shocking white, and it was hilarious. Now, Joe, can you fucking imagine Donald Trump dying in prison, and when we see his corpse, his hair is like natural, like he doesn't have all the shit that gets done to it? It's gonna be nonsense, and that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, good thing he's for sure going to face consequences.
Speaking of facing consequences, Joe, you heard about these Texas police?
So there are certain events that I count as rot accelerators, which are just like, oh, we just kind of hit a new level of like rot, of just public rot.
Yeah, our materia leveled up. We're not casting rot anymore. We're casting Rataga.
Yes, yeah. And everything about the Uvalde cops and their approach to, I guess, stopping that shooter is very, I don't know if blackpilling is the right word. It's just like, what is even happening? Because from the start, there's been lying about what has happened. And we're now recording this, like, 3 or 4 days after they released the video from the school itself where the cop was, like, using his gun to unlock his Punisher phone.
Yeah, while it says screaming of children has been edited out.
The thing that I keep coming back to is, like, what if you live in that town? Like, those are the same people who are still doing traffic stops, who are still doing, like, a crowd overflow for, like, graduations, and, like, they did that.
I mean,
like, they did that.
I saw the most reasonable fucking thing I've seen is, like, someone posted, I don't have the post in front of me, and I know who said it, sorry. Something to the effect of, like, I seriously believe that Uvalde, Texas should be dissolved as a municipality. Like, it cannot continue. And it's in the current form. It just can't. And, like, yeah.
Well, they're doing that to an extent by they plan on demolishing the school, which now has bad vibes.
Jesus Christ, really?
I believe that's where they landed, yes.
I mean, I can't complain that much because, like, it does have fucking bad vibes. Like, can you imagine a more cursed place to go to every day as a child in that town? But also, like, the fact that that's the only thing that's happening is just like, Jesus Christ. We both thought that, like, the reason the police kept changing their story and obviously lying was that they had killed some kids, that, like, they shot kids.
Yes. I was getting the impression that they did friendly fire, but it in fact was just inaction at such a crazily negligent level.
You know, the anime Death Note, it gets a lot wrong, especially in the pacing and story of its second half.
The middle part's kind of weird. I don't love the middle part.
The beginning's the best part. But one of the things it gets wrong, even from the beginning, is this idea that the Death Note is like a morally gray object, that the use of which twists a person into a villain just by the nature of its cursed power. I don't feel like anyone would lose sleep over putting those fucking cops' names in the Death Note.
and the name. It's grim, and there will not be a meaningful conclusion. I will find it unlikely if there's anything resembling restorative justice.
They will. Well, if we look at, you know, the past and extrapolate based on what happened in the past, what may happen in the future. Last time, there was a widespread call for accountability for evil police that were actively harming the community. The police got more money. So that's what's going to happen. I mean, the thing about this, especially when you see the video, because, like, you knew they did something bad, but, like, when you just see how little they care, they're just standing there hearing children being killed and doing nothing for an hour. Not, like, laughing, just chilling, shooting the breeze, passing the time. Like, I talk about demons and demon mindset and the devil being real. Like, if you do that and you can go home and, like, live your life, if you're not, you know, doing Sudoku, if you know what I mean, like, your brain, you are not a human being. Like, you do not functionally have a place in human society. you are a blight on all others around you. It makes me so fucking mad.
And how many small towns are like this? This is one instance of a single police department, but like there are small towns everywhere, and all of them have these budgets. Like
You are a fucking rube if you think there's anything anomalous about the Uvalde Police Department. It's just, and the thing that kills me is that like you could not, if I were to be the author writing up fake things to justify my beliefs and my policies, I could not tailor make a more persuasive series of events to push for the abolition of police, or at least the defunding. But seriously, abolition.
This seems like a cut and dry issue where you can make the budgetary argument, which is that like this behavior you see, this doing nothing as people die, is the biggest slice of the budget pie in every fucking city.
Yeah. And even so, everyone in power is just like, well, one thing that we all agree on is we won't fucking entertain that unserious, childish, wanting a pony shit. So fucking annoying. I don't like it.
Yeah. Their budget's gonna continue to increase until every cop learns to double jump.
Ugh. Not double jump. I want to do that. They shouldn't get to. I want it.
It's a very expensive procedure.
You know what really sucks is all this shit we're whining about. I whine about it constantly. I'm so fucking. I need to learn self-control. I like respond to ghouls on Twitter being like "fuck you," like that's any meaningful
like it's
sort
helpful.
of thing. It's not. It doesn't help, and it makes me feel worse. But I fucking do it all the time. I don't know why. I can't stop. But the thing is that when I whine, you got your freaks who ate the vote fruit coming in being like, well, if you don't like this, remember to vote. As though
the act of pulling the lever, or speaking, I guess, I know the machines don't actually have fucking levers now, but the act of just like interacting with the voting machine will produce a better society. And there has never been more people voting than what happened in this past election. Do you understand?
Yeah. And these vote for people seem to think that like politics and policy and the running of a nation is 100% vibes based, because it's like the bad vibes party did a bunch of bad vibes. If we vote for the good vibes party, the bad vibes will go away. And it's like, well, no. You see, no. Actually, voting for the Democrats will only have a positive effect if the Democrats enact positive policies. Now, how do we know what policies that they are going to enact? Well, in an election season, one would hope that they would publicize a plan. No. That's the thing that is absolutely blowing my mind. It's like, you hate how the Dobbs decision, you hate how abortion is not no longer legal. Vote. It's like, vote for what? They don't have a plan. Like, there is no evidence. And there is, in fact, overwhelming evidence to the contrary. There's no evidence that electing Democrats will cause them to take any action to undo the evil.
I mean, this is also made worse by the fact that Nancy Pelosi, stumped for, was it Henry Kuehler, the pro-life Dem? So it's like, even in their own world, like, these things aren't priorities, but they are fundraising off of them.
And Biden let McConnell have a lifetime appointment for a judge who's anti-abortion, which came as a surprise to the Democratic fucking governor of Kentucky. He didn't know this was happening. And the reason that Biden was letting this go forward is because that meant that McConnell, as a deal, was going to like let two prosecutors get sort of installed, federal prosecutors who do not have lifetime appointments. They have Biden's term appointments. And it's just like, you don't seem to understand that, like, you need to do things. Like, you need to actually take action to solve fucking problem? It's like, okay, Joe, it's like all the problems are a big guy playing rock, paper, scissors who throws rock every time. And he has a big tattoo on his forehead saying, I throw rock every time. And our voting is to determine what of the rock, paper, scissors his opponent throws out. And we go to the voting booth and we're like, what's going to beat rock? And our two options are rock and scissors. And I'm like, I want to vote for paper. And then I get yelled at for wanting a pony. And someone comes in and says, do you want scissors to win? And I cry. I fucking cry. You have to give a plan. The
Biden White House basically hasn't said anything on the abortion issue until somewhat recently, when what the statement they released was like, well, we're not going to do what the woke left wants. We're going to focus on real issues to take care of this. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why are you hippie punching on this issue, which is like
wildly popular?
Yeah, wildly popular, but also like there are like a coalition exists in the Dem Party, which is like suburban normie moms and also like activists and leftists. And like this issue, the abortion issue, is one where they're like in step with one another. Like they're kind of like they're doing the fist bump, and to like intentionally weaken that coalition to make it sound like what activists want is like unreasonable, because like what they actually want is like just at the very least of how things were before it got repealed, and to make it sound like it is this absolute pie in the sky,
to treat it with contempt. Not just that it's unrealistic, but like it's unrealistic and fuck you for thinking it, idiot.
Yeah, and this is also happening while there's a national media story about a 10-year-old crossing state lines to receive an abortion from, and this is awful, a rape. And it's like, that's what we're talking about here. It's happening. And like, we can't...
They just don't fucking care. They just don't. And also just from a politics perspective, from a like horse racing, like what looks good, what polls well perspective, it's so easy, the narrative, to be like those evil Republicans with their unelected, undemocratic Supreme Court justices were legislated from the bench, activist judges, and we are going to take a bold stand for women's rights. That's like so strong of a message. That's such a good sell going into an election. And instead what they said is, well, one thing we're not going to fucking do is what those pronoun bitches want. And it's like, oh, fucking shut up. And it's like, the only other statement is Kamala Harris saying the worst words of all time. I think she came to Illinois following there's so many mass shootings now that they probably all blend together for many people, but there was a awful shooting in Highland Park, which is a northern suburb of Chicago. The media will have you believe that this was a nihilistic, unideological, random shooting. It was a fucking pogrom.
He staked out a synagogue. And also, this town is like has a very large Jewish population. And of course the shooter was from there as well, but like, there was a shooting. It was disgusting. And what happens is Kamala Harris comes to our state and then like talks like they might be giant lyrics and says nothing. Like, do you have the words in front of you? They're very funny.
And we have got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously. The whole nation should understand and have a level of empathy to understand that this can happen anywhere, in any peace-loving community. And we should stand together and speak out about why it's got to stop.
What is actually said there? Let's just take a moment. She says, this can happen anywhere. True, because everything's scary.
We have to take this seriously. True, you're not. And you should.
And when it happens, we will do nothing.
Yeah, you got to speak out about why it has to stop. Well, I know why it has to stop, because people got shot. I think that's pretty clear. You don't need to speak out. The gun does the talking for you. Jesus Christ. What really killed me was what she said about the Dobbs decision. The reporter was giving her a big softball, which is like, do you think the Democrats failed by not codifying Roe versus Wade in any of the fucking 50 years they could have? They did fail. Yes. The answer is yes.
They chunked it.
Her answer was, I think that, to be very honest with you, I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled.
That's a funny statement because it shows that she was unprepared and they weren't ready, and she is unable to communicate the fact they're not ready. Yeah. It sounds like a Fate Wiki quote. This is a thing someone says before they unsheath their noble phantasm. Like, it's just a very strange statement.
There was another thing that was put out by, I believe, the White House communications director under Obama, who, this person had noted that there was widespread backlash against the Democrats for their truly criminal inaction, just malpractice. And she didn't like that. Jennifer Palmieri said this: Republicans gamed the system, and they got 2 Supreme Court justices they shouldn't have. And those people had a 40-year plan to overturn Roe, and they did it. And to continue to blame Biden for the fact that more Americans didn't vote for Democrats is an epic example of missing the forest. We're in such a bigger fight than what the President of the United States can deliver. And if you're thinking that it can be solved by a president taking any action in the course of 2 weeks after the decision, then you're not appreciating what a big fight it is and what a precarious moment it is.
Don't you understand how big of a deal this is? We should do nothing.
Yeah, you don't understand. We've fucked up for so much and for so long that right now the deficit that we're looking at is so huge that scoring any amount of points right now is going to make no difference. So you're stupid for wanting things to happen.
Yeah. This is, of course, mixed in with a sentiment that you gotta vote, which is a mixed message.
You gotta vote for Democrats. But the Democrats, by the way, elected Democrat, they cannot do. Do you understand that the Republicans had a big, scary plan that they did really well, and there was no pushback from us. So you got to understand that we can't do anything to stop that really quick. I mean, it's like they're really smart and really fucking dumb. Anyway, you're going to have to vote for more of us so that we can continue to not do anything, because how could we do anything? It's not going to make a difference. It's like, you're a professional communicator? This is your job? Huh?
I mean, everything gets treated like the issue is that it's a communication issue. I think that's the problem. It's like you don't fix any underlying issues. It's just like we have to find the right series of words. Yes, and then people will stop yelling at us, which obviously won't work because you can't focus test the words that make the Colorado River come back.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, this addiction to, like, polling and focus grouping has made the Democrats as a party fundamentally incapable of any proactive action. The only thing they can do is, when the Republicans say, let's make everything worse, they're like, no, we will maintain the norms. And it's like, no. The norms also suck, you guys. And the reason this fucking focus grouping shit doesn't work is, it calls to mind the Simpsons focus group, when the Itchy and Scratchy production company is focus grouping a group of kids. And they're like, raise your hand if you want grounded, relatable stories. And they all raise their hands. And they're like, okay, now raise your hand if you want wacky, off-the-wall screwball stories. And they all raise their hands. Like, no fucking person knows what they want. And any solution to a hard problem is going to be, in the short term, hard. So no one in a focus group is going to be like, I want the hard thing. So they're never going to fucking do it. This brings up another thing that the vote fruit people always say, which makes my blood fucking boil. I go so insane when they say this. When you go like, they should do something about all the problems. These vote fruit motherfuckers will reply something to the effect of like, I'm begging you to learn how the government works. You fucking cuck. It does not work. That is the entire point. There's no the government working at all. So there's nothing to learn about that. The
total understanding would bring you to the conclusion that it does not work.
Have you not been alive your whole life? When has the system moved? Like, when has turning the crank made a fucking treat come out of the chute? Never. It doesn't work. Like, the rules do not output a fucking result. They just
Especially
don't.
now, because the actual way the government functions now is that there are 9 people in robes, half of which are in Opus Dei, that do everything now. Like, it is completely a Supreme Court-based system.
Yeah.
And people use that as reasons why you shouldn't pass broad, expansive legislation. It's like the right-controlled court will just strike it down, which, why do anything then?
Yeah.
Like, just why?
There was some Biden guy on Meet the Press who, talking about the Dobbs decision. It's like, well, I mean, unless we just completely disregard the word of the Supreme Court, we have
That'd
to
be
deal
cool.
with this. And it's like,
That'd be sweet.
Just, again, you're a professional communicator. Why are you in a negotiation, a fight, I say an ideological fight for the soul of the fucking country and what kind of country it's going to be? Why do you start off by saying, well, one thing we're not going to do is something that would matter? I want everyone to know we're not going to do that. Here's all of the weapons I'm taking off the table. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're going to lose.
My opening move, I'm going to shit my pants.
Like, I'm time to play chess with my incredible opponent. Well, one thing I'm going to do is remove all of my pieces except the pawns. And it's like, oh, the pawns are the worst piece. Oh no, you need the other ones. Uh-oh. These motherfuckers. I don't like it.
I will say one thing that happened that I got a laugh out of when I was on the honeymoon, which is you texted me to give me some information about one of our projects that we're working on. But the second half of the text was, did you see that Shinzo Abe got murderized by a Mad Max gun? And it is, the gun looks like the TF2 Scout gun.
Yes. I mean, like, when I was just talking about it after it happened, and I'm like, when you think about it, it's not really a gun. It's a bomb. Like, the guy made a bomb, and there was a miracle. When he detonated the bomb, a miracle occurred, and it only exploded in one direction. Because, like, when you see that thing, and you're just like, there's no way that you would bet on it not exploding when you fire it. And yet it didn't somehow.
It was 80% tape.
It's so funny.
He was only shot once, and it was fatal. And I was like, that's, pretty shocking. And then you pointed out, well, what happened is the guy who shot him drank the mini crit soda beforehand.
Yep.
So that's why.
And how did he get so close without security stopping him? He drank he double jumped. And also he drank the other Scout soda that makes him run extra fast and go be invincible while the effect is happening. Remember that? Remember Team Fortress 2, folks? If I think up any other fun Scout weapons, he hit Shinzo Abe with the war fan, the melee weapon that the Scout had that was a war fan. It put a mark of death on him, which made all things mini crits. So there were 2 things given him mini crits. So no wonder.
Yeah. Winnie was the one that told me that, like, we woke up and she's like, the last prime minister of Japan just got. And I was like, that's not true. Just because, like, it seemed unlikely. And boy, it was, and it happened.
It was very fun. I love all the people in the media whose take is like, see, gun violence, gun control, even in Japan, with their stringent gun control regulations. You can't even stop it there. And it's like, no, they did stop it. Like, are you serious? Like, they stopped it. This doesn't count as not stopping it. He had to make his own Mad Max gun out of tape and killed a guy. Like some dumb fucking teen in Highland Park was effortlessly able to kill many guys.
Yeah, targeted families. Yeah, I mean, it's... Ugh. And he also considered going to Madison to do it again, because, like, I don't know, I just got the devil in me, so why not? And it's just awful shit.
Speaking of the media being very bad and that shit, one thing that the media loved to focus on again and again is that shooter wore women's clothes, which he did so to disguise himself. However,
right, but the intent is to be like, oh, is there a... This is fucking awful, to be clear. Like, they want to, like, somehow make this a trans issue.
Yeah, we made fun of the UK for being Turf Island. Guess what?
Now, we're Turf Continent now. Like, it's the homophobia and the transphobia are back in full force here. It is really wild.
It's... I'm mad at the Democrats for the inaction, obviously, as I've discussed. But, like, that's, like, a sin of omission. I'm angry at them for not doing something. I'm, like, the deepest, blackest hatred that they are inculcating in me comes from how they, because of their stupid fucking focus grouping, they've decided that, like, trans skulls are a winner. Like the debate in the Democratic Party, like the political question that our great political science minds are putting all their think tank efforts into is not how to solve any of the fucking existential problems. It's how big of a mountain of trans skulls do we have to present as a gift to the GOP in order for them to agree not to kill us. And it's like, I saw fucking Fareed Zakaria, the stupid plagiarist ghoul.
His argument was that, and they always use pronouns as like a shorthand for this pronouns thing is keeping us from doing work we want to do, which is just obscene. He makes it sound like, and it's not because he's a moron, that like there's huge public works projects that are ready to go, but we just can't get it started because we got to work out some pronoun stuff. It's so fucking insincere and stupid, and obviously like inviting negative attitudes.
Yeah, just to even entertain it is so fucking stupid, because like clearly if you put any thought into it, it doesn't fucking matter. Trans people having rights and being able to live as they are doesn't fucking matter to anyone but them. Being able to live a fucking life. It does not matter. And as soon as the fucking libs start entertaining it as something that needs to be discussed, then it's true. It's true in the sense that, like, it started as a stupid culture war thing, as it always does. The right just decided to start screeching, "I hate the trans." And the Democrats, instead of being like, "Shut up, idiot," are like, "Wow, a lot of people hate the trans. I guess we got to arm them."
Yeah, like the moderate position now is to just have a little hate reserved. It's very upsetting.
The thing the thing that you see as like the reasonable non-hatred based fucking transphobia is the sports shit. Is like, well, people should be allowed to, be the gender that they are, but they should be allowed to play sport. Shouldn't be a man playing women's sports. You kidding me? And the thing about this that is so disgusting is that it is much like the 10-year-old who had to cross state lines to get an abortion, which is these stories are meant to be big broadsides in a culture war. It's meant to be a narrative. It's meant to be another turn in the narrative. The reason people are yelling about it, the reason people are introducing these bills is so that it can be a culture war thing and so that it can be in the narrative. However,
so everything can align to this same fight.
However, on a micro scale, which people don't often remember, there is a micro scale. These are things that are, massive news stories that millions of people are talking about that all focus on like a mind-bogglingly small collection of people. Like that whole fucking 10-year-old shit, Joe, with the like, there is a 10-year-old girl and there is an abortion provider whose lives are fucking like forever going to be changed because they're going to be in the crosshairs of the worst people in the universe. And these fucking trans school sports bills, they will often focus on like one person.
I think Utah had one and it like affected like 3 people. Like it just, and just this outsized amount of media attention to generate hate.
Just imagine that you've lived your life in this dead fucking country, this evil corpse empire with the government so calcified and useless that it will allow millions to suffer poverty and death every day, and you've only ever seen it get worse. You've never seen the government do anything good for anyone. And the one time it screams to life is to punish specifically and only. It's to be like, bitch, quit the volleyball team or else.
Right. I'm going to push back on what you said. Never seen the government do anything good. Let's not forget that they gave everybody stimulus money, and now for the rest of our lives, they're gonna they're gonna be like, as you know, all future problems are because we gave you $2,000 one time.
You greedy bitches, you fucking assholes! I can't believe you did that and ruined everything.
Yeah, it's actually your fault because when we sent you the checks, you weren't supposed to cash it. If you didn't cash it, we could have been fine. But
you were all supposed to write void, and in the memo section, you were supposed to write, as someone who wishes to stop inflation, I choose to spurn this gift. I don't want a handout. Man, I know this is old hat, but when people say, like, you don't want to, Americans don't want a handout, that's the dumbest shit in the universe. I want a handout so bad.
Give me shit.
Imagine,
I love when people give me things.
You go to the school when you're a little kid, and you see that it is someone's birthday, and they're handing out the little ice creams to everybody, and it's like, oh shit, this kid brought ice creams. This is legit. This isn't store-bought fucking mini cupcakes. This is legit. And would you be like, no, I don't want a handout. I want to work hard so I can buy my own ice cream. Bitch, I want to work hard so I can buy my own ice cream in addition to being handed out free ice cream. Actually, I don't want to work hard to afford my own ice cream. I want to work a little bit to afford my own ice cream and then also get a handout of free ice cream. Like, is this...
I want to work a little bit to get free ice cream and buy video games.
Yeah.
Like the free ice cream happens regardless of how good I work. But the reason I work, and not hard, is for video games. That's what I want.
This is easy math, folks. I don't know why this is so hard for so many people. Oh man, I got mad. Oh, I was gonna wrap up, but then I scrolled down on our Tascade page and I saw this shit that you posted, and I forgot about. And just seeing this headline made me do that laugh that you just heard. This is from The Atlantic. Jamal Khashoggi would forgive Mohammed bin Salman, his widow says.
That flaming skull wrote an op-ed. That's what this is. And the way it wrote is it shot the words into a piece of paper with the Glock that is inside its mouth. He would forget, like, they bone sawed him into pieces, dude.
While he was still alive.
Like, I'm not sure if I believe in ghosts, but, like, that's the type of death that produces a vengeful spirit that does not forgive.
That's how you get fucking The Grudge.
Yes. Yes. Actually, I should email that embassy and being like, is there a grudge situation happening? Like, what's your ghost situation?
Go look in the mirror right now and tell me all the weird things you see in it. You're definitely not going to see normal mirror stuff. There's going to be some funny stuff. Make sure that you don't have an expression on your face, so that if your mirror person starts to have an expression like an evil smile, you know that that's fucked up. So if you don't want to be smiling, because then it's like, well, then that's a normal smile. That's what it should be. You gotta be weird.
Also, Biden just fist bumped that guy.
Of course. This is something that I remembered after we said this so long ago, but I want to re-up this concept. The freaking fruit. Mohammed bin Salman.
I just said
freaking fruit. Yes, he said. I
just said freaking.
It really hurts my feelings that everyone's so mad at me about this alleged murder.
I'm so much more complex than bone saw guy. I don't like being put in a corner, put in a box like this.
And man, and it's like, oh no, but we can't. We have to agree that he said freaking because he makes all the oil. And it's like, well, why does that matter? And it's like, well, we need the oil to run all our cars. And it's like, running all of our cars is good, though, right? It's like, oh, no. It causes huge traffic problems and lots of deaths and kills the environment. And we're all going to die. It's like, oh, well, then obviously we have a plan in place to stop using so many cars. Like, not at all. Going to make them bigger.
Going to St. Lucia just, again, reaffirmed that the the enemy of humanity is the car, because to get anywhere, we had to take like a taxi on like winding, mountainy, jungly roads, and it was terrifying. It was just like every time another car was coming by, you both honk at each other to acknowledge that this is not a suicide pact. And like, that's how scary cars should always be.
Yeah. Fucking Christ.
That should be the feeling associated with the car.
I see so many of these F-150 killdozers that have like been raised on monster truck tires, where I'm like 6 feet and my head just comes up to the hood. These are, to be clear, the most popular cars in America. This last year with the massive gas prices because of inflation, would you believe that their market share grew? This is the car that America wants. They want the killdozer that guzzles gas like it's fucking going out of style. And I hope it does, but I don't think it will. But I see so many of these motherfuckers around. And, like, I think the issue is driving's not scary enough. Both in the sense that it should be, like, existentially scary to you doing it, so you want to do it less. And also because, like, if, for example, these fucking killdozers were to blammo a child in the fucking crosswalk and render her a fine mist in the fucking grill, nothing happens. Like, you don't lose your license. It's just like, that's a shame. Well, and you go on fucking driving. And, like, why do you even buy these huge cars that have so many blind spots and are so easy for you to fucking kill someone with? It's because no one thinks
the road is a battle and you want to win because your battleship is better. Like, we are subconsciously just admitting that, like, no, it's just conflict. Like, I don't want to die on the death road, which is everywhere.
And it's exactly, Joe, it's the same fucking hollow rhetoric that gun people use, but it's like, well, yeah, guns are dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, but I'm actually a responsible gun owner, and it's like, well, I doubt that. Like, and maybe you are, but like the when you say responsible gun owner and gesture to the population, well, that's certainly not true. Like the fucking thing that people say to defend their huge trucks is like, well, you can kill someone with any kind of car, and I'm not going to hit anyone because I'm a responsible driver. And this is just another fucking example of main character syndrome, the individualization of American society. Everyone is the only person in the universe. I'm not going to, like, I would never decide to hit someone with my car, so I'm not going to, obviously. QED. Duh. And you cannot fucking fathom the idea that you would be in a, let's say it, accident and accidentally fucking kill someone with your stupid fucking car.
Chicago has had a few somewhat high-profile pedestrian deaths or biker deaths because of car stuff, and it just sort of reaffirms this. I know New York is always having them, and every time it happens, it's just like, we're doing this to ourselves. It's so fucked up. But the other thing I hate about driving is, like, I have a car, you have a car. Maybe this isn't the case for you. Driving a car turns me into an asshole.
Yes, I have to really try to not asshole. Like, I will feel the asshole responses and I have to be like, no,
yes,
wrong, like I'm wrong. Don't respond that way.
Yes, correct. And like a perfect example is like Chicago has bike lanes, many of which are unprotected at this point, although they are redoing many of them to be the full concrete barrier ones. The thing that drives me nuts and makes me feel like an asshole, or calls for me to be an asshole, is that I will always be sure to give bikers, I'm talking about people on bicycles and not motorcyclists, enough space, not going into their lane and all that stuff. And when I do that, there's like a 85% chance that it will infuriate every other driver.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just like so maddening because It's just like someone is behind me honking, like, just give in to the devil. Like, oh my God, just be a fucking avatar of woe.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, the road is a battlefield and all cars are warriors, and you have just fucking exposed your belly and been like, I like pronouns, and they're like, kill you! Yeah. You're the enemy now.
Yeah, I also hate, God, I saw a a truck parked in the bike lane in front of an L stop today with the license plate of self-love. Which, I don't know, that was a little much. But this is like right in the middle of the fucking bike lane. Like they were clearly like, oh yeah, this is like the place where you just pull over.
Yeah. It's real bad. I don't like this shit. So we've been doing a lot of whining, obviously. And that's fine. Because everything that we've ever believed and all of our values and all of our worldviews and all of our morals and all of our hopes and dreams have not only been dashed completely, but the mass media has made sure that every fucking one, statistically everyone, the people who don't believe this are negligible. Every fucking one believes that all of these things are stupid and childish and un-American. So we have a lot of reasons to whine, which makes this following tweet all the more devastating. This is by Lincoln Michelle at The Lincoln. Really does feel like a defining feature of our era is the winners are all whiners. Billionaires, Marvel Cinematic Universe films, pop stars, the Supreme Court, etc. They're not content to just get all the power and money. They insist they have to also be adored and never once receive any criticism.
This is very well said because it gets at the biggest issue, which is it takes whining from losers like us away. Like that's our job. Like it's cultural appropriation when successful people whine.
My culture is not a costume. You can't have that. You don't get to whine.
I'm just some bitch that complains, okay? and that's what I am. And you don't get to do that when you also have like the Supreme Court on speed dial.
You know how when people say how are things and you say can't complain, that's you're that. Stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. You don't like that's the really furious thing is that when someone with nothing to complain about does complain, that's how they make up shit like fucking pronouns. Pronouns are so bad. They're ruining everything. And then the news has to be like, well, an important person said that pronouns are bad and are ruining everything, so we must take them at their word. I mean, if you look at it, they are important. So like QED, it's self-fulfilling. We have to do it. Ooh, I'm steamed. Anyway, so I think that's all the time we have.
No, we have to do one more thing.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we do, because it's the no opinion tweet we just had.
Oh,
which is very funny.
Do you have this in front of you?
So there's this fucking guy. He's an economist, which is, as we know, a fake job.
Yeah, a professional idiot, a professional corpse brain haver. When you go to Economics 101, they give you a fucking ice pick and say, first things first, kill your brain.
So Noah Smith, who tweets under the handle no opinion.
I wish he had no opinion.
Folks, I agree with that. This is also the guy who said Cowboy Bebop is an example of neoliberalism because everyone is an entrepreneur. I just can't stand it. Anyway, he writes in this tweet, I think by 2050, America will be a really nice country and a great place to live, and people will largely have forgotten the current era.
Corpse brain, corpse brain, corpse brain, corpse brain.
The end part there, and people will largely have forgotten the current era.
Insane.
Makes it sound like he's willing and very eager to bear witness to some horrors and then get over it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh, God. And it does definitely feel as though, like, well, is the reason that you think this because all of the people who would disagree that it's a nice place to live will have been killed by the reasons it's not nice?
Like, it might be by 2050 a nice place to live. Was that achieved by a mound of skulls we don't look at? We don't know.
Yeah. It's like
he has two follow-up tweets that also just kind of continue on
these.
Yeah,
give me.
They're also dumb. Actually, I think that by 2031, America will be a pretty fun and interesting place to live in a number of ways, and many people will have acclimated to the awful parts and learned to tune that out.
So okay, it's sort of undeniable now that he's saying that the people who would disagree will be killed by the bad parts. And because there's no other way to learn to tune them out other than learn to tune out stuff that I guess might hurt someone else, but not me.
Right. And then his final tweet in this 3-tweet series. I don't think the rest of the 2020s are going to be the most fun time to live in America, though. He's probably right about that.
Yeah, blind pig finds a truffle every once in a while. Fuck. All right, that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. For as angry and furious as I got, that was a lot of fun, complaining and moaning.
I can't believe people think complaining isn't fun.
It's so good. It's like the thing to do. That's okay. That when people talk about bad therapists, you know what I think is like the underlying, well, not for all of them, but a common underlying theme is that like when they complain, the therapist like says like stop that, or like you're stupid. Like the therapist needs to be like, yeah, complaining rules. Those things do suck. That's when therapy works, at least for me.
Yes. So we complained. Do we have a plan to fix all the problems we talked about? Absolutely not.
No,
Here's
I'm not
why.
the fucking president.
I'm just some fucking guy.
Yeah.
I what did I do today? I ate an Italian sub. It was good.
I went to a piano lesson. My posture's getting better.
Yeah. So like, that's what's on our plate. We're not in a position to restore the Colorado River.
Yeah. Anyway,
the Hoover Dam will not be fixed on our watch.
We did complain a lot, but I don't want to leave the listeners on a purely nihilistic note. I want there to be some hope, even though, we don't have the solution. I want some, useful calls to actions here. So, if all this stuff bugs you, just remember this November to vote.
Remember to. I'm reading this wrong. It's remember to vor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, yeah. Remember to vor. That shit's actually. And we've never been horny, but we were going to change. We're actually into vor now. That's our main thing. The reason we were never horny is because we didn't look at any vor. That's what we're into.
Yeah, we didn't know this was an option.
Shit, I read vote. Oh my god, how embarrassing! No, remember to vor. Oh god, no one better clip that because it's gonna be really embarrassing. They'll be able to like play it back and be like, "This you," and I'll go, "No, I misspoke. I meant vor." We'll see you next time on Anime Sickos.
I didn't say anything embarrassing as vote. I assure you, it was vor.
I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I'm Joe, an Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. We'll be complaining less then. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.